Hi, I'm Hayden Barnes, and I am here at Microsoft Build 2026. I am also on the ballot for the .NET Foundation Board 2026 elections. So I figured, why not record this here? So what do I do? Currently, I lead NES for .NET at Hero Devs. That's never-ending support for .NET. We provide post-end-of-life support for enterprise who are on builds of .NET that have left the Microsoft support window, but continue to need security updates and patches and plan their migration strategies to modern versions of .NET. Prior to that, I worked at Determined AI, where I led developer relations. AI, of course, the latest thing. Before that, I did Windows containers as an engineering manager at Rancher. Yep, Windows containers on Kubernetes. Before that, I did a whole host of things at Canonical, working on Ubuntu on WSL. I have always worked at the intersection of Microsoft technologies and open source, built relationships there, built partnerships, collaborations, and that's kind of what I do. I'm running because the .NET Foundation needs to build its sponsor base and get on stronger financial footing. An independent open source ecosystem like .NET deserves a strong, independent, financially stable foundation to back it. Part of that is multi-vendor support, like Hero Devs, but it's also support from other companies who are active in the .NET ecosystem and deploying .NET at scale and need to be contributing and should be contributing and which should see value from contributing to the foundation and its efforts. So what would I protect and what would I change? I would protect the core services of the .NET Foundation. I see those as hosting, code signing, mentorship, building the pipeline of .NET contributors who are going to grow the independent open source ecosystem we all want and see and have the potential for. That is the core value add of the .NET Foundation. But we can't achieve that without a sustainable financial base, and that's what I would change. The IRS disclosure forms for the .NET Foundation are public, and sponsors are going to look at those. The financial disclosures on the website are a little out of date. Doesn't look good. And frankly, neither do the IRS forms. They show that the .NET Foundation is not on great financial footing, and we need to fix that. The primary way I see of fixing that is building partnerships and collaborations with major .NET, I would say partners, potential collaborators who are deploying .NET at scale and determine why they're not contributing and members of the .NET Foundation, and then demonstrate ROI on that potential investment and build that logo list. Build it so we can continue to fund those core deliverables that make the .NET Foundation. So what is my tie to .NET? I'll be honest, it's relatively recent. I've been working at the intersection of the Microsoft ecosystem and open source for many years, starting at Canonical with Ubuntu and WSL, where we did work on the .NET snaps for Ubuntu, working with Windows containers on open source infrastructure in Kubernetes at Rancher, working at Determined AI on Azure, and most recently with NES for .NET at Hero Devs. In the past couple of years, .NET has become my go-to personal development environment. It took some time, but I've grown to love the ecosystem, get to know many of the contributors, the projects, and I still embrace that cross-platform open source aspect of .NET, building applications for Windows, Linux, x86, ARM. That's just what I love about it. And I've been working at this intersection of Microsoft technologies and open source, building these relationships, working in these communities, building these communities like the community around WSL. And that combined with my professional expertise in developer relations, and what I like to say, my old job as an attorney, where I worked at the federal, state, and local levels with various organizations like the USDA, like the state Senate in Georgia, the local Parks and Rec committee that I led in my county, to my volunteer work now with the Atlanta Pro Bono Partnership, where I advise nonprofits. I see how organizational change works. And I believe both these sets of skills can be a great benefit to this very needed transformation of the .NET Foundation, where it needs to become an open source, independent foundation that can drive change and truly represent all of the stakeholders within the .NET ecosystem. So what is a concrete win I can point to? I think most obviously it's NES for .NET. In late 2024, I was hired at Hero Devs to build NES for .NET. We had no roadmap. We had no CI. We weren't even sure if it was possible. No one else had really attempted post-end-of-life support for .NET. But I thought it was key to the maturation of the .NET ecosystem to have multi-vendor support for .NET. And 18 months later, we have built a market, shipped .NET 6 and .NET 8 in advance of the .NET 8 end-of-life event later this year. We're building for Windows and Linux, and we're deployed in Fortune 500 companies at scale and posting seven-figure ARR. We did that in close collaboration with Microsoft as part of the .NET security group with partners like Canonical, Red Hat, IBM, and we pulled it off. And I think having multi-vendor support within the .NET ecosystem and then joining the .NET Foundation, something I championed internally and made the case for to our executive leadership team in terms of ROI, is something that is important. We will need to be going to other leaders within other companies who will be seeking sponsorship from and needing to make the case to their leadership why they need to cut checks to the .NET Foundation and what they get from it and how it benefits them. And being in that position and making that case and successfully delivering on that is something I think is going to be useful in terms of expanding the sponsorship base for the .NET Foundation. That's it. If you're a .NET Foundation member, voting is open June 6th through June 19th. Vote for me, vote for someone else, but vote. That's the work. Let's get this done.